Hello and thanks for joining us right here on This Is Now. First at noon, parts of the South and the East Coast are preparing for rough weather from Hurricane Helene. Meanwhile, Congress has prevented another political storm.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers averted a government shutdown less than a week before the deadline, but the deal is only for 3 months. John Loring has more.
Washington, D.C. will be keeping the lights on for at least a little while longer.
We should all be very glad that we won't have a painful shutdown, but let's also remember the pattern we saw play out here yet again so that perhaps we can fully avoid another pointless repeat.
The bill approved by the House and Senate was a continuing resolution which funds the government until December 20th.
We are where we are. As short-term as we are. I wish we weren't here.
In other words, it's a temporary 3-month solution.
While continuing resolutions are never ideal, none of us like them, it's not a way to run a railroad, it allows Congress to continue serving the American people through the election.
While some House Republicans, 82 to be exact, voted against Speaker Mike Johnson's bill,
he was willing to give up everything to avoid a shutdown.
It passed through and then was approved by the Senate by a vote of 78 to 18. President Joe Biden applauded Congress for, quote, avoiding a costly government shutdown.
We will find bipartisan common ground with our Republican colleagues on any issue whenever and wherever possible in order to make life better for the American people, deliver real results, and solve problems for hardworking American taxpayers.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Hurricane Helene is just hours away from making landfall in Florida, most likely in the Big Bend region in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it's a Category 3 storm with maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour, and tens of thousands of people in the area have been ordered to evacuate. CBS's Tom Hansen has more.
Forecasters say this rain and wind from Hurricane Helene's outer bands are nothing compared to what's coming.
A really unsurvivable scenario is going to play out here in this portion of the Florida coastline.
The storm is expected to make landfall Thursday evening in Florida's Big Bend region with a possible 20-foot storm surge.
That can destroy houses, move cars, and that water level is going to rise very quickly with the approach of Helene tonight and could cut off escape routes.
Mandatory evacuations are in order for at least 20 coastal counties, and federal task forces from around the country are getting into place to rescue those who don't heed the warnings.
Every minute that goes by brings us closer to having conditions that are going to be simply too dangerous to navigate.
Helene hit Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula Wednesday as a Category 1 storm, flooding the Cancun area. Thursday, it doused Cuba as it grew in strength and size in warm Gulf waters. Helene's sustained hurricane-force winds, which could reach as high as 130 miles per hour, are also expected to cause widespread power outages across the southeast. Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia have joined Florida in declaring states of emergency.
If it is not necessary for you to be on the roads during and after this storm, please try to stay home.
The region will face increased flash flooding and tornado threats as Helene bears down. Tom Hansen, CBS News, Tallahassee, Florida.
Back here at home, a 59-year-old man is recovering after he was the victim of a carjacking in Nanakuli. This happened yesterday around 10:45 a.m. when a male suspect forced his way into the victim's vehicle. We're told the suspect used force to take the vehicle, and the victim was taken to the hospital for treatment. No arrests have been made at this time. On Hawaii Island, police are asking the public's help in finding a Puna man. They say he should be considered armed and dangerous. 31-year-old Alexander Kauve of Kea'au was wanted for several outstanding warrants. He's 5'5" with brown eyes, black hair, and numerous visible tattoos. If you see him and you have any information on his whereabouts, call police at 935-3311. A state lawmaker wants the city to prosecute a man accused of abusing his dog for years before it died last month. Lynn Kawano has this story.
The owner of the dog was cited, but the prosecutor's office asked that case be dismissed. Now a state representative is calling for felony charges.
Cell phone videos from a Makiki neighbor show 12-year-old Max being suspended in the air by his leash.
His owner, Eli Loli, agreed to surrender the dog to animal rescue group Hina's Legacy in July. They took in Max and took him to the vet. Medical records show the terrier mix was abused all his life and was suffering from kidney disease, anorexia, depression. He was dehydrated, emaciated, had trouble walking and eating. Later tests showed old injuries, including broken bones. Max died last month.
And this one hurt more just a little bit because this dog was abused its entire life and then finally gets adopted and dies, and never got to see a chance for a true loving home.
Loli was cited for cruelty to animals in the second degree, but the prosecutor's office had the case dismissed without prejudice. Tuesday, State Representative Darius Keela sent a letter to Honolulu prosecuting attorney Steve Alm asking that Loli face a felony charge of cruelty to animals in the first degree.
There is just overwhelming testimony, facts, and evidence to show that there was vagrant animal abuse. Devastating for the whole community, because time and time again, we're trying to keep these folks held accountable for the crimes that they're committing.
We went to Loli's Makiki apartment, but no one came to the door. The prosecutor's office would not comment on the case, but in a statement to HNN said they do move to dismiss cases when follow-up may be necessary to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt or when other charges may be more appropriate, whether misdemeanor or felony. Keela hopes that means upgraded charges could be ahead. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News.
In news across the nation, New York Mayor Eric Adams is vowing to continue to do his job, even though he's now facing multiple federal charges, including bribery and fraud. The federal indictment against him was unsealed today. Michael George reports from New York.
It's an unfortunate day, and it's a painful day.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams asked New Yorkers to reserve judgment shortly after a federal indictment was unsealed, accusing him of engaging in a long-running conspiracy involving illegal campaign contributions, charges he denies.
Follow the law, and I follow the campaign rules.
The 5-count indictment includes charges of bribery, wire fraud, and 2 charges relating to receiving campaign contributions from foreign nationals.
If you just sum up.
Federal prosecutors say Adams accepted more than $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from Turkish officials in exchange for favors. In one instance, they say Adams pressured the New York City Fire Department to let Turkey open a new diplomatic building here, despite safety concerns.
The Turkish official got what he wanted. And as we explained in the indictment, just 4 days after Adams held up his end of the bargain, he went right back to soliciting more travel benefits from the Turkish airline.
This is just one of at least 4 federal investigations into Adams or his inner circle. At least 3 high-ranking city employees have already resigned in recent weeks.
This is unprecedented.
CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi says prosecutors must think they have a strong case to indict the sitting mayor, a first in city history.
You have to believe that prosecutors feel that they can not only convict Mayor Adams at trial, but sustain that conviction as well.
Adams has vowed to remain in office while he fights the charges. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Ukraine's president is in Washington hoping to secure more military aid to fight off Russian aggression. And Israel's prime minister is in New York for the United Nations General Assembly as the U.S. and its allies continue to call for an immediate ceasefire. Alice Barr has the latest details.
Today, 2 world leaders seeking U.S. support for their nations at war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Capitol Hill speaking with lawmakers, and at the White House with President Biden, who announced a new security package for Ukraine.
We stand with Ukraine now and in the future.
President Zelensky then meeting with Vice President Harris. He's pitching his victory plan to strengthen Ukraine, including asking for the freedom to use U.S.-supplied weapons to fire into Russia.
Together, we have to win, and we will win.
The Ukrainian leader not meeting with former President Trump, who's grown increasingly critical of Zelensky, accusing him of favoring Vice President Harris in the coming election.
The president of Ukraine is in our country, and he's making little nasty aspersions toward your favorite president, me.
At the same time, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arriving in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, where the U.S. and France are pressing for a 21-day ceasefire along the Israel-Lebanon border.
Support this war not widen.
Israel's prime minister rejecting that, telling the military to keep striking Hezbollah militant targets in Lebanon with full force. Hundreds are dead in Lebanon, tens of thousands fleeing amid cross-border airstrikes from both sides and threats of a potential Israeli ground invasion. World leaders racing for a diplomatic solution to contain the growing violence. As Vice President Harris seeks to demonstrate her foreign policy skill and put her own stamp on Ukraine, former President Trump meeting with the leaders of India and Poland in New York for the UN. His decision to skip a Zelensky sit-down, a signal of the eroding Republican support for Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
New traffic safety numbers show a pedestrian is struck and killed in Hawaii on average once every 10 days. Leaders gathered at the Blaisdell Center last night to see how policy changes can save lives. Ben Gutierrez has more.
So far this year in Hawaii, there have been 71 traffic deaths, and more than a third of them, 26, have involved pedestrians. For years, transportation workers have been busy adding speed humps and beeping crossing signals, restricting turns, and more. And yet,
Hawaii was just named the 13th most dangerous state in the country by a group called Smart Growth America. And they said the most recent 4-year period, they saw a 79% increase in pedestrian deaths here.
Transportation expert and author Angie Schmidt is here to help Hawaii's traffic managers take safety planning to the next level by understanding high-risk areas such as lower-income neighborhoods.
And one reason is they're more likely to use transit. They're more likely to walk and bike for transportation, so they have higher exposure. But also their neighborhoods haven't received the kind of safety infrastructure a lot of times that wealthier neighborhoods have.
And more of us are driving trucks and SUVs.
People are driving much bigger cars, and when they're struck by those cars, they're hit higher on the body, and they're hit with greater force, so it's more likely to be fatal.
Honolulu's transportation director was among those taking notes at the Blaisdell Center tonight as the city tries to slow down drivers.
We have a bill before council now to take a look at speed as one of our tools that we can use, and we're thinking about in school areas of reducing the speed limit to about 20 miles per hour.
The city has also been building protected bike lanes all over town, and next year, leaders hope to connect a 32-mile bike path from Nanakuli to UH Manoa.
And of course, some of the cleanest transportation choices are walking, biking, and rolling. If you like hoverboards or scooters, that's all good too. But we can't expect people to make clean transportation choices if they're really dangerous. And
But after all the data crunching, analysis, and government plans, avid walker Claire Santos reminds everyone of their greatest protection, personal responsibility.
But first and foremost, my safety is up to me. So I wear reflective clothing. Been too many close calls, and we've lost too many people that are pedestrians on our streets.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
A big expansion is coming for the Queens West Emergency Department. A groundbreaking was held yesterday for the new 3-story facility. It will add 80 patient rooms and include infection isolation areas, as well as space for behavioral health needs. Last year, the Queens West ER treated 62,000 patients, the second most in the state. Queens estimates that number will rise 5% each year.
We need this so very much to support the community and give our caregivers the spaces that they need to work and practice each and every day.
Construction on the new facility is expected to be done by November 2026. Renovations to the existing emergency department are set to be finished by summer 2027. The Board of Water Supply wants you to think about what a day in your life would be like without access to water. That's the theme of an event happening this weekend. Casey Lund has the details.
Aloha from the Board of Water Supply. I want to give you the details on that event. It's this Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Kapolei Regional Park. To talk a little bit about all the exciting stuff happening out there, Stephen Nordstrom is with me, event organizer from the Board of Water Supply. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. Before we get to what we have here, tell me a little bit about this event, the idea behind it.
Cool. So imagine a day without water. Exactly what it says, imagining your day without water. It's very hard to do that, but water is very special. It's very valuable. And so on September 28th, that's this Saturday from 10 to 2, we're going to be at Kapolei Regional Park right across from the library. We're going to have a big event. We're going to have about 20 city and county and state agencies there, community organizations. We're going to even have an Adopt a Park organization where folks can come down, pick up some trash as a way to give back to their community, to give back to the park. So it's going to be a real fun event.
Very fun. And then also some workshops. One of the most popular is the rain, the rain barrels.
Everybody loves rain barrels because rain barrels, you don't have to use any outdoor water when you use a rain barrel. It collects water from the roof, rainwater, fills up the bucket like you can see here, and you can put a little spigot on it, and you can water your lawn and garden. It's a great way to conserve water and help to reduce your water bill.
You have some of these that's just kind of like sporadically here at the wherever they pop up, and you tell me that they fill up right away.
Yeah, depending on where you live, of course. If you live on the wetter side of the island, you're going to fill up the barrel a lot quicker than if you're on a drier part of the island. But it's a great way to conserve water because about half of our water use is wasted due to inefficient irrigation systems and overwatering. And another thing I just want to add at this event, that besides all the fun workshops we're going to have food.
That's right. So,
yes.
And there will be water there.
And there will be ice water.
Ice water, very good.
Nice cool.
And then plenty of stuff for the keiki too.
Yep.
We have sucky. Tell me a little bit about what you have for that.
Yeah, so we have a fun little activity for the keiki. I'll start with this one first. This is a little succulent plant, so the keikis can plant this. It's a mini workshop. Erica from our Halawa's Airscape Garden will be there to help the keiki do it. It's absolutely free. You get to take home a fun little, cool little succulent. And the nice thing about succulents is they're drought tolerant. They don't need a lot of water, so you can let them, you can not have to water as much. And then the nice thing too, we're going to be creating these fun little, do another little workshop with creating paper pots out of recycled biodegradable newspaper that you can put some soil that we'll give you some seeds, and you can actually put this. And what's really good about this is when you plant it, it actually helps the plant grow. It's good for the plant.
Very good.
The biodegradable newspaper.
Excellent. So all kinds of stuff, food, and a really opportunity for young people and adults to learn a little bit about conservation and things like that. Maybe some things that you might not have thought about, even if you are pretty familiar with how things work. Stephen Nordstrom with us from the Board of Water Supply. A reminder that it's this September 28th, Saturday at Kapolei Regional Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Right across from the library.
Right across from the library. All the details online at HawaiiNewsNow.com. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Thank you so much, Case. Here's a live look outside. This is Las Vegas. It is almost 6:30 there, and it is 100 degrees.
100 at 6:30? No, thank you.
I know. It's awful. It's awful out there, but it's so much fun. All right, we're going to have a look at your local forecast after this quick break.
As Florida prepares for Hurricane Helene, we are looking at very calm weather. No cyclonic activity in the Central Pacific. Although there's a little bit of a disturbance to our south, it's not going to impact our weather, not expected to intensify at all. This morning, we have a handful of showers for a handful of windward spots, and that does not represent a lot of rain, but it will be a little bit soggy for a handful of windward neighborhoods this morning. It's going to dry up by the middle of the morning, and those trade winds will begin picking up speed. They'll be running at moderate speeds today, so humidity levels not an issue. So it's going to be another standard textbook trading weather day. This is the best weather on the planet. Lots of sunshine out there in the afternoon. High temperature running to about 88 degrees. But because of those trade winds, it's going to feel nice and comfortable out there. Now, the surf that was, rolling into the North Shore is on the way down. That swell will be running maybe head high today, and conditions should be pretty good. And no significant swells coming for North or West Shores anytime soon. Although South Shores are expecting a pretty good size swell come Monday of next week. And heads up, box jellyfish still swimming in probably through tomorrow. Now, as far as the next 7 days, the weather's not going to change very much. We've got trade winds in control all the way through Monday with lots of sunshine, very little rain, if anything, a few stray showers. And then starting on Tuesday, the winds level off and we'll see some stickier conditions take over.
Today's show co-anchor Hoda Kotb says she's leaving the show early next year. During an emotional announcement this morning, she said she recently turned 60 years old and decided it was time to turn the page.
I thought, this is what the top of the wave feels like for me. And I thought it can't get better. And I decided that this is the right time for me to kind of move on. And then I thought about, obviously, I had my kiddos late in life, and I was thinking that they deserve a bigger piece of my time pie that I have. I feel like we only have a finite amount of time.
Kotb has spent 2 decades at NBC's flagship morning show and 7 years as the co-host alongside Savannah Guthrie, the show's first all-female anchor team. She says she'll still remain part of the NBC family in some capacity. Postage stamps are about to cost even more. The United States Postal Service said it plans to raise stamp prices 5 times over the next 3 years. First-class postage is currently 73 cents. USPS said stamps will remain at that price until the first price hike, which is set for July 2025. The increases will then repeat each January and July thereafter through the end of the year 2027. The agency did not say how much the price hikes will be. All price changes must first be approved by the Postal Regulatory Commission.
Today's Good News Now story takes us to California, where the rush to complete floats for the world-famous Pasadena Rose Parade is on, even with a few months to go until the actual event. Jasmine Veal takes a look behind the scenes.
There is no job too small or big for workers inside the Suzusa warehouse.
We're going up.
22-year-old Alex Goodman is one of the dozens of employees with Artistic Entertainment Services rushing to meet a very important deadline.
Shooting this stuff on. Yeah, it's go time for us.
He is helping build 15 of the floats for Pasadena's long-running Rose Parade.
It's here, especially with more floats this year than we had in previous years. We're already busy. First batch of floats is going to be going out here in a month or so.
This is the San Diego Zoo. This one here is the UPS stores.
AES owner Craig Bujaski took on more floats this year after one of the other float builders lost their parade authorization. He's trying to finish and move several of these floats out of the warehouse by the end of October, but it takes time before they can be tucked away beneath flowers and seeds.
Louisiana has a house on it, and it's actually sitting on top of a large crocodile, and the crocodile will be animated. Here's the tail.
Craig has been building floats for the Rose Parade for decades, since the 1980s. And once again, his floats and many others will be rolling down Orange Grove Boulevard to Colorado, 8 a.m. on January 1st.
Yeah, it's cool to see it on TV. It's cool to be a part of it. Something that I grew up watching, and now I get to be hands-on with almost each and every float.
As millions of people around the world will also watch as the floats glide past on New Year's Day. But not nearly as many see the work that goes into transforming these artistic visions into reality. In Azusa, Jasmine Veal, KCAL News.
Amazing to see there. We were just talking, that looks like a pretty fun job to have.
They should have a reality show about it. You know, like how they do
Yes.
cakes and stuff like that? People would watch that.
Is it real or is it cake? Or is it a parade float? And actually, that story ties into what's happening here on Oahu this weekend. This is some old footage, but we got to let you know that preparations are underway for this weekend's Aloha Festivals Grand Floral Parade. It is happening this Saturday, and it runs from Ala Moana Magic Island all the way to Kapi'olani Park. Per usual, you'll see the Royal Hawaiian Court, Ha'u riders, marching bands, and beautifully decorated floats. Because this is a floral parade, you're going to see some of the finest craftsmanship of tropicals and flowers and all that fun stuff. And of course, pa'u, which we love to see.
Yeah, you're going to be right in the middle of it all.
I will. I'm super blessed and honored that I will be riding for the island of Oahu for the very first time. So I will be on a horse this Saturday.
All right.
And
Good
we
luck.
also will be reporting live from the starting point of the parade on Saturday. So be sure to tune into our Hawaii News Now Sunrise Weekend show this Saturday as well. Let's send you live outside now once again to Las Vegas. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is Now.
Aloha.